for October 8th, 2024.
Second, okay. Any discussion, amendments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I think we have to do, you did, okay. All right, Kevin indicated by voice that he said yes. Okay, item 2, approval of the minutes, the special meeting October 28th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of October 28th.
I have a second.
Second that motion.
Any amendments to the motion? I mean, to the minutes. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Okay,
I'm abstaining also. I was careful.
all right, so it's 3, 4, 5, 6 to 6 approved, 2 abstain. Okay, next item, the recognition awards.
Tonight we're going to do it a little differently. Instead of taking the photos right after we give the awards out, we're going to wait and do the awards after the middle school students talk, and then we'll go outside and do some pictures. Okay, so first, you inspire me. And Layla Carter, come on up. Leah Carter, come on up, Leah. Okay, so you inspired me. You were nominated by Mr. Hollahan, your principal. Leah's positive spirit is an inspiration to all of us at McCann School. Her strength, kindness, and selflessness make her truly deserving of the You Inspire Me Award. Leah embodies resilience, kindness, and an inspiring spirit that uplifts everyone around her. She has overcome many challenges with a positive attitude and unwavering determination, setting a powerful example for her peers and teachers alike. In the classroom, Layla shines academically and continually puts the needs of others first. She has taken a special interest in our collaborative classroom time with our STRIVE program, where she supports and connects with her peers. Her understanding and patience create a welcoming environment that makes all students feel valued and included. Congratulations.
I think we need to give Leah a special award for rocking some silver pants.
The key is B. Stacy Hungerford, come on up. Stacy's mad at me. She was nominated by Erin Crosby, who is our administrative assistant over at Stanham. Stacy is very welcoming. She goes above and beyond to make everyone that enters the school feel like they belong. She helped me ease into the job, assisting with whatever she could to make me feel supported. She assists with activities and duties throughout the school as needed without being asked. She has tackled very large book orders, unpacking and distributing, etc., she wrote. She is always lending a hand as needed. Stanton School would not be the same without her. And everybody knows Stacy is our instructional coach at Stanton. You can buy more books with that in the back. All right. I make a difference. Amber Scribner is her new last name, by the way. So Amber is my executive assistant. So she was nominated by Katie Ruffo. The woman who can do it all. Need a question answered? Amber will do it. Need a spreadsheet made? She's on it. Need help scheduling a meeting? Check. Amber, we thank you for all that you do to help keep our district afloat, always with a smile and patience. It doesn't go unnoticed. to Jim Muscarella. Jim, come on up, buddy. Jim is one of our custodians here at Norwich Public Schools. He basically does anything that he's asked. He's all over the place. When we moved back into 90 Town Street, Jim made sure that that place was ready for us. He cleaned it. He has such pride in everything that he does. The one thing that we needed a lot of work on was at Bishop, because everyone knows that we did the Rose City School, so it needed some work. And so he was nominated by a lot of people, especially at Rose City School. We extend our sincere appreciation for your dedication in making the Rose City School a warm, welcoming, and positive learning environment for the Norwich Public Schools. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. Thanks for all you do.
And now we have our middle school representatives. Tonight, Jacob Simpson from teachers and Rivers Champlin from Kelly Steen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rivers Champlin. I'm an 8th grader and student council president here at Kelly. Student council has officially elected a president, vice president, and secretary. As I mentioned, I've been elected for president. Carolina, who you guys met last month, is vice president, and my sister Azure is the secretary. In October, we had a successful trunk or treat. We partnered with Moriarty and Huntington for a night with huge attendance and fun. Students with top attendance were chosen to participate in Suit Up, which was an activity partnered with the Connecticut Sun, focusing on creating a marketing plan. The first Pride Assembly will be this Friday, which acknowledges and highlights leadership in categories of respect, responsibility, mindfulness, and safety. High school presentations were successful. High schools came to 8th grade homerooms, sharing presentations for each school. The school representative said the students asked great questions and paid close attention. Talking with the other students, we all felt it greatly impacted our ability to make a good choice for a school that we will attend for the next 4 years. High school information night took place during the conferences on Thursday evening in our library with great attendance by our 8th grade families. The conferences went very well too. Fall sports ended successfully. The teams were combined with Kelly and Global students. We had 2 students placed in the state meet in the top 50 for cross country. There were over 2,200 runners. Girls soccer showed great heart and effort. Each game they improved tremendously. Boys soccer was 1 game below a 500 record. As a 2-year captain here at Kelly, boys soccer was better than the previous years, and I felt that our teammate was better than it ever was before. We had multiple coaches from opposing teams comment on our student sportsmanships. The new sports season start this week with tryouts for cheerleading and basketball. We had over 200 students sign up. Overall, we are looking forward to the next marking period, and we're proud to be at the school. Kelly Pride, Steam Strong. Thank you.
I'm Jacob Simpson from Teachers Memorial, and I'm representing the Student Advisory Board. The fall athletes finished a great season. They recently had their award ceremony for cross-country, boys soccer, and girls soccer. The winter sports tryouts are this week for both cheerleading, basketball, boys basketball, and girls basketball. Students with amazing attendance went on a field trip with the Connecticut Suns and had a competition on marketing for the team. We just finished up our parent-teacher conference and our annual book fair where we raised over $600. We hosted a high school showcase that came to 8th grade homerooms and on November 6th with the following schools' attendance: Ledyard High School, Grosso, Norwich Tech, New London High School, Kinnebog Middle College, Marine Science, ACT, and Griswold. High school information night will take place Thursday evening in our cafeteria with great attendance by our families. We are in process of planning a winter spirit week with grade level competitions during December 16th. This week, we have a cyber safety meeting for our families, and next week, we will be hosting History Day Wednesday evening.
Is there anyone who would like to speak for public comment? Yes, okay.
You sound disappointed.
No,
Why do you think I?
All right, let me, as you're getting up to the table, I'll read my little blurb. Norwich Board of Education values the public comment period as it represents an opportunity for members of the public to express their views to the board on matters within the board's authority. Procedurally, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and up to 30 minutes per topic. Comments may be consolidated and given by a group spokesman. All comments must be directed to the board and not to any individual board member or individual member of the administration. The board and the administration will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the public comment period. The board and the administration will determine when and how to address questions that arise during the public comment period. Comments may also be submitted via email or in writing at any time. Profanity, raised voices, boisterous conduct, and personal animosity will not be tolerated and may result in the suspension of that individual's speaking privilege. The chair reserves the right to limit public comment at any time so that the board's business may be conducted in a timely manner. Each speaker is asked to give their name and address for the record before starting their remarks. Mrs. Gilbert, you may proceed.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Philbrick. I reside on Elm Avenue in Norwich. I'd like to start by saying thank you to Susan and Amber. I did a FOI, my first one, and their response was professional and timely. Before me tonight, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 contracts with the former superintendent. And I read them, and I am more confused than ever. There's a lot of information in here, and I know you don't answer questions, but I need to know who negotiated these contracts, who wrote these things, who agreed to these. These are extremely telling. Have you all read them? Have you read them? On April 23rd of 2019, you signed a contract with Ms. Stringfellow for $204,000, 15 sick days, 30 vacation days, 15 holidays, 5 personal days, and $400 a month in stipends for travel. In addition to that, the contract requires that I pay $2,500 a year for a performance bonus. What I need an answer to quickly is why in the end of May of 2023, when you knew or you should have known that the bottom was going to fall out, why you signed another contract. We have spent an incredible amount of money on this so far, and I don't see a resolution in sight. I looked at the meetings. It said that on October 8th you met and you would have a resolution soon. We need to put this to bed, and somebody needs to be held accountable. My mind is blown. My mind is absolutely blown. If the public knew about this, you would all have to move, because the outrage would be so, you knew, you had to know. She came to us with baggage. She came to us with baggage. We got what we paid for, and now we're gonna pay and pay and pay and pay. So it blows my mind. Somebody's got some explaining to do. And the bottom line is that the taxpayers are gonna wind up paying astronomical amounts of money. And it will all come out eventually, ladies and gentlemen. It will all come out eventually. So I'm sorry, but as I said, Susan and Amber, I was a little confused because I didn't know who Amber Scribner was. But now so thank you for all that you do. And this should be the model of how the Norwich Public Schools are run. Being open to the community. And so I'm looking forward, Mr. Chairman, to something very, very soon. You have a responsibility.
We will address you.
When?
I can call you tomorrow.
Okay, well, I think it's important that the community at large know where we stand, so, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else for public comment? Mark?
Hi, for those of you that don't know, I'm Mark Betancourt. I am an alderman here in the city of Norwich. I'm also chairman of the school building committee. Some of you have known me from various other things, but I just wanted to stop in and say hello and tell you what a pleasure it's been to work with Susan and her staff. And I think the people that I've worked with as far as the building project goes would say the same thing. At least they have to me so far. So I appreciate that cooperation that we've had from you and all your staff. I would say that we have 4 items on the agenda this evening, and they are kind of important to get done in a timely fashion. We are up against some serious deadlines, as some of you know, Christine and Mark know. Any delays in the project could result in a cost of millions of dollars on an annual basis just from escalation. As time goes on, things go up, unfortunately. So we certainly want to get the project off the ground in a timely fashion. So I certainly ask you to consider the items on the agenda tonight and hopefully approve them. Certainly, you'll also get a presentation tonight from both CSG, our owner's rep, and project manager, and our architect. I'm going to take some of your thunder away, Jim, and note that the card over here is full of building plans. That's what those rolled up papers and stuff. There's a lot of work that goes into these projects. You wonder why they cost so much money, but that's part of it right there. So I'd appreciate your consideration, and I have not, since I've chaired the committee, I have not stopped by to actually say hello to the Board of Ed. So I did want to make a point of doing that, although I know most of you. So, but some of you who don't know me, I certainly wanted to stop by and say hello. And I'm certainly available if any of you ever have any questions. I'm not too hard to find. So, all right, have a good night.
And is there anyone else to speak for public comment?
Jess Quay, 321 Old Canterbury Turnpike. I just wanted to piggyback off of Mrs. Philbrick and let you know that if you're giving her a phone call, I'm sure that the rest of the community would appreciate a phone call. I've been pretty religious of coming to these meetings month after month after month, bringing things to your attention, asking for answers. So since you did address her, I feel like it would be in everybody's best interest to address the entire public because we've been waiting. Thank you.
Okay, and is there anyone else for public comment? Yes, sir.
Merdoshe Gustav, 128 Oker Street. So today I just want to talk about the bus situation and how dangerous it's becoming, especially for the kids that have to walk home and walk to school. From my personal experience, I drop my sister off every morning, so she has that security, but sometimes it's not secure because yesterday I got into a car accident. My car is totaled, and I wasn't able to drop her off. And so the only ride she had was her other brother who just got out of a double. He was really tired. And when you work that long and you have to drop someone off, you're not thinking straight. Um, and so I'm really worried about her safety. And she has to walk home from school. No one's there to drop her off. No one's there to drop her back home. And so it's getting really cold. It's getting really dark. It's getting really dangerous. And so I think it's a big concern that we have this situation rectified immediately because it can only get worse. It can only get scarier. Uh, I've always had a ride when I went to school. I've always had, there was always a bus going to pick us up, so I don't understand why that's changed, and growing up now, I appreciate it now that I have that and seeing how a lot of these kids, they don't have that security. They don't have an older brother or a parent that can drop them off to school. I see a lot of kids walking home and walking to school, I should say, walking to school when I'm dropping my sister off. Um, and I just think that that's something that needs to be addressed immediately, not just addressed, but it should be handled. And we need to bring the buses back. I think we need to bring these buses back because God only knows what's going to happen if we don't. Thank you.
And is there anyone else for public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Are you guys sleeping? Good evening. Oh, my name is Enoch Petit Home, Oak Ridge Street. So I'm here again to reiterate the urgency of bringing the buses back. It's getting colder, although we've been lucky this winter, right? But it's gonna get colder. It's getting darker, and then we haven't heard any movement as far as we've been asking for this for the past, I don't know, 2, 3 meetings, board meetings. We haven't heard really any movements. Maybe you guys are thinking about that. Maybe you don't care. So, and I'm speaking on behalf of the community, especially the people from Greenville. And then last time I was here, I invited the board to take a walk with me from Prospect Street, Convent Street, or 2nd Street. Let's take a walk to see how it really feels. You understand? So again, I don't know if they don't take our public comment serious, or if you guys don't take it serious, but this is serious to us. And then we're gonna continue to come back, and we're gonna continue to repeat the same words. We need to bring the buses back. And then I look at your website today. Your vision says to enable each child to reach his or her full potential. Your mission statement, the Norwich Public Schools will provide each student with a rigorous, effective teaching and learning environment where equity is the norm, excellence is the goal, and students' health and safety is assured. The word equity is not being measured. The word equity is you're not living to that potential. How equitable it is, when some students are getting the shorter end of the sticks. It is not fair. You need to bring the buses back. And again, and I don't want to keep talking about this, Stringfellow thing. It's time to put this to rest. It's time to move on. And then we know our tax is gonna go up. So be it. We need to flip the page. We need to move on to this so we could focus on things that are more important in a way. But at the same times, we need to understand the amount of money we spend just, kicking this issue down the line, down the street. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to face this head on, this Stringfellow issue. It's costing the taxpayers like myself and many people in my community. It's costing us money. We're paying for 2 superintendents. We're paying for 2 assistant superintendents. It is not fair to the taxpayer in Norwich. And then to all the taxpayers who are listening to me now, will be watching this, and then it is an open invitation to run for city council or to run for board of ed. All you need to be is 18 years old, owe no taxes, and be eligible to run. So next election is coming up. Unless we got answers, then we will show up. We will continue to show up. And I invite each and every member in Norwich to continue to show up. And I invite everyone who wants to run for public office to run for public office. Because if we're not getting answers, then we have to take actions. Thank you.
And is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
My name is Tanika Dorsey. I live in 128 Oaker Street, and I'm in 9th grade, and I go to Norwich Tech. As other people have been saying, the buses. My brother, yes, he drops me off every morning, and I see people just walking off, and I like walking without a bus, and I feel bad for them. And in the afternoon, I usually have someone to walk with, but sometimes she's not always here at school. So sometimes like people just like look at me, and I'm scared sometimes. And I feel like I'll be a lot more safer if I had a bus to go in the afternoon and the morning.
Thank you. And is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? And is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I now declare public comment closed. Okay, now we have a presentation by the folks from Griswold High.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board of Education members, members of the public. I'm Sean McKenna, Superintendent. I'm joined by Mary Beth Malin, our Chairwoman of the Board. We come with gratitude this evening, and we thank Norwich Public Schools for having your students become our students. And just to go over some quick stats, students attending Griswold High School from Norwich at this point in time, we have 54 students. We have 7 students attending Griswold Soul Street Academy. Those numbers are on the swag bag that we gave you. Your students, our students, are thriving in sports and extracurricular activities. Just to give you some stats from fall sports, we have 6 Norwich students participating in fall sports. In winter sports, we have 14 students. Spring sports, we have 7 students, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We have students participating in Model UN, student government, drama, music, the whole gamut. We have this presentation to give to you tonight, and we hope you take a look. It's moving forward on my screen, but it's not moving forward on your screen, so, okay. So as Joe's coming up, our school is a smaller school, Griswold High School. We have 2 options for students coming from Norwich. We have Griswold High School, which offers regular education and special education, and we have the newly renovated Griswold Soul Street Academy, where the Board of Education designated approximately $700,000 from ARP ESSER funds to, okay, thank you very much, thank you, where the Board of Education used $700,000 from ARP ESSER funds to renovate the former Griswold senior center in downtown Jewett City, which is about a half a mile from our campus. So we believe in the whole child. We invest in the academic, social, emotional, and behavioral health of children. I don't know if this is gonna, all right, there we go. Our students come from Griswold, Jewett City, as well as 8 participating towns: Canterbury, Franklin, Lisbon, Norwich, Preston, Sprague, and Voluntown. We have our enrollment has increased at Griswold High School thanks to Norwich and our sending towns, and we continue to follow that trend. We make it a point to get to know every single student, and we believe in personalizing our relationships with our students. 50% of our students participate in athletics, that's the whole student body. 20% of our students are student athletes from the sending town. 50% of the students participate in the music program, and 30% in the spring musical. When we receive our students, if they're new to Griswold High School, we have this program called Wolverine Induction. So they are not just set in the wild ocean to swim. We support them with a mentor, and we make sure that they are cared for and nurtured, and that we work with them individually to craft an academic program that's suitable to their needs and interests. Our campus is off of I-395. It's very easy to access for family and friends. It is a campus with an elementary school, with a middle school, a high school. We have a beautiful multi-purpose field that we just installed a couple of years ago, thanks to the taxpayers of Griswold, where families can watch their students participate in various activities and sporting events. We also have a nationally ranked gaming lab called the Nexus. That lab is a computer lab that offers advanced technology courses, and it's one of a kind in Eastern Connecticut. And Griswold High School is situated in our campus along the Quinebaug River, and we have nature trails that people can walk, and our cross-country team can practice on quite frequently. So we believe in our mission and our vision, and we have 3 important goals that we adhere to: social and emotional learning, blended and personalized learning, and research-based instruction. Our vision is we want to make sure, it was nice to hear the word resilience, we want to make sure that our students are effective communicators, they are resilient problem solvers, they're critical thinkers, and engaged active citizens. At Griswold High School, we have what we call a capstone experience, and I want to take a few minutes to go over this because it's not just about taking courses and planning a career or a college experience post-graduation. The capstone courses are courses that the students take along with the now state requirement of personal finance, and we believe in community service at Griswold. So all Griswold High School students participate in community service. We work with the students to make sure that they can access the community service, whether it's here in their community in Norwich or on campus. And the capstone experience also culminates in what we call a senior showcase, where the students work with a faculty advisor, and they have to do a presentation to a small group of adults in the building. So we believe that that helps them prepare for career and college and the expectations of being a meaningful, contributive member of society. Just some other numbers to keep in mind about Griswold High School. We have a 1 to 17 faculty ratio. We have a state-of-the-art advanced technology lab with an esports team. We have Norwich students who are part of that too. We have a modern learning commons, which I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes. We have 24 dual enrollment courses where students can earn AP credit, UConn credit, credit from Southern Connecticut State University, and from the community colleges. So we have taken a great deal of time and effort, and thanks to our supportive Board of Education, to invest in rigorous curriculum development. We have 6 English courses that are electives for grades in 11 and 12. We have really expanded our technology to dive into what students are interested with: computer science, game development, esports management. We are very excited about a new drone technology course that we're going to be using, and we also have invested in other courses that students like, including sports, contemporary issues in sports, history of rock and roll, and so much more. Interestingly enough, at Griswold High School, we are a member of the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline. So we do work with our students that have an interest in the trades, and a lot of our students we have been able to successfully place in careers at Electric Boat. The Board of Education, our wonderfully supportive board, has seen our need to make sure that all of our learning environments are attractive, that taps into student engagement, and that are attractive. So you can see in this room here, we have what we call flexible seating. It is tech ready, and we are ready to work with our students so that they can produce products for their teachers that they are proud of. Here you go. This is kind of cool. We, as I mentioned, we're really very much into technology. And one of the things that we have is these VR headsets where our students can actually explore a career by putting that headset on, whether it's a career in science, whether it's a career in technology, whether it's a career that it's a virtual simulation that they can do in our building to see if this is something that's very much interested in them. I mentioned the youth manufacturing pipeline. So these are advanced courses that students can take on our campus. Students have the opportunity to earn an OSHA 10 certification, 150 plus training hours, and we have college and career fairs right on campus, and we've been able, through the youth manufacturing pipeline, to place students in jobs in the region. As I mentioned, we have a number of dual credit courses, advanced placement, early college experience via UConn, Southern Connecticut State University courses, and other courses that students can earn in high school, community college credits to help them when they enter college. And this helps working families defray the cost, the very expensive costs of college education. These are some of our scores. We are finding that our students, in many cases, are outpacing the average scores in Connecticut and in the nation on AP. These are some of the colleges and universities that students have been able to get accepted to since 2019 through actually 2024. We place students at Three Rivers, UConn. We also place students at Yale, Brown, Princeton, and the highly selective colleges and universities in the United States. Student life is integral to the experience at Griswold High School, and we make sure that students are not just a name or a social security number or an ID, that they are connected to adults. We, again, our district, as Mrs. Malin can tell you, we focus on social and emotional well-being. That includes welcoming students in inclusive and equitable learning environments and making sure that they feel connected to adults, to our community, to the coursework that they're doing, and to their experiences. That's our faculty at Griswold High School, and they are not just teachers, they are coaches, they are mentors, they are guides to help our students achieve the very best that they can achieve. I believe Amber is going to make sure that all the Board of Education members have this presentation. So when you have time to look at it, it is interactive, and you can see a video on the esports lab and why it's one of the top 10 in the nation. Our Learning Commons, the Board of Education invested funds to renovate and to modernize our Learning Commons. So that's our library, media center, creative areas where students can engage in technology. It's inviting, and the students love it. It's almost like being at Starbucks, and they can work and they can socialize, they can learn, they can access books, they can do presentations together, and it's a real fun space to be in. We have also taken great consideration to emphasize the importance of physical well-being, right? So that was one of the driving forces to renovate that field, that sports and physical well-being are important, whether you're walking, whether you're participating in an athletic team. It is important to be physically, and to have physical well-being is important. So we added a weightlifting class, we have a sports medicine class, a physical education class, and the important thing is the Board of Education invested in renovating and updating our fitness center. So this does look, I would say it's pretty close to Planet Fitness. Our music and drama departments they do a great job in putting on, I think, top tier performances, particularly with our musical in the spring. It gains a lot of attention in the region. We have a third of our students are participating in the acting, in the production, in the set building, in the music, and being a meaningful member of that cast and crew. Athletics, We offer comprehensive athletics, and there's an opportunity for everybody on teams to participate and to develop skills as well as being good sports people in an athletic competition. That's our multi-purpose field. GPS Student Services, we work very closely with our Student Services Department, offering special education students a well-rounded opportunity to be part of our campus and our community. We participate in unified sports, we have a unified music program, and as I mentioned, we have special education opportunities at our campus as well as Griswold Sewell Street Academy. We have a highly effective in-district transition program where students who have reached the age of post-secondary, we support them in transition services in the community. That's Griswold Sewell Street Academy. It serves special education students 7 through 12. It's located nearer to our campus. It's personalized learning tailored to individual students. We do have a social worker in that building that works with students, and right now we have about 20 students in that building, 7 of whom are Norwich students. I think this is the best part of the presentation is we're here for kids, right? You're here for kids. And to seeing our students thrive. And so Jaden Joseph, he will graduate in 2026. He likes Griswold. He participates in our basketball team. He notes that it's very friendly and welcoming. Xavier De La Rosa, who is awesome. He's on our cross-country team that just won state recognition. He chose Griswold High School for the sports, the coaches, the teachers, and the community, and feels very much connected to the school and the district. Gio is a student at Griswold Sewell Street Academy, and he remarks that the students and the faculty and staff have a lot of respect for one another. I think it's really important to hear what the students say. Emily will be graduating in June. She participates in cross-country, track, and student leadership, and she says, she notes that the community is like a family. Jaden Alvarado, he will be graduating in 2025. He participates in football, wrestling, and outdoor track. He loves Griswold High School because the teachers and administration are very close-knit and we all work together. And Nate is a student. He will be graduating in 2026 at Griswold Sewell Street Academy. And he says that the staff are understanding and provide resources so you can take time for yourself. And he notes that the staff, we are here for our students, so of course we want to help them and we want to help out. We have streamlined the registration process. As you heard from one of your student reporters from the middle school, we participate in all activities on campus in Norwich to make sure that families have access to our counselors and to our registration framework. We do have priority registration for February 28th, 2025, but we do have an ongoing rolling registration. And we do work with our families very closely to make sure that they have all of the information needed to register their students in our school district. That is how you contact us if you have any kind of questions after this presentation. Sometimes you hear the presentation and you might have something later if you want to run it by Superintendent Lassard or Assistant Superintendent Bender, or feel free to reach out to us directly. And again, we feel that we are very student-centric and it's about the students and the work that we do, so the pictures tell more of a story than me talking here. And so I've been talking quite a bit. I know you have a very busy agenda. Mrs. Malin and I are here to answer any questions that you may have. And if we don't have an answer, we can certainly get back to you. Thank you for allowing us to present this evening.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, Sean.
You all set? Or are there any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening. And that's why we come in gratitude. So we thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Superintendent.
Thank you. Okay, I am going to introduce, last month she wasn't able to be here, but Patrice Marandina is here today. So if you could stand up, Patrice, so that everybody know you, and I'll do an introduction. I'm thrilled to announce that Ms. Patrice Marandina has rejoined Norwich Public Schools as the Coordinator of Strategic Initiatives. Patrice brings with her an impressive 16 years of diverse classroom experience, having taught grades 3 through 6 across Hartford, Ashford, and Canterbury. At the middle school level, she specialized in reading and spent 4 years enriching students' lives as a science teacher. Her journey at Norwich Public Schools began with an instructional coaching role where she quickly made an impact as the district math instructional specialist and math curriculum coordinator. In spring 2023, Patrice took on the role of principal at Hampton Elementary School, a vital position in a small but dynamic community. Her leadership was instrumental in building robust systems that supported both students and staff, demonstrating her commitment to excellence in education. As the school's sole full-time administrator, Patrice embraced every challenge, ensuring that no detail was overlooked in her pursuit of success for her school community. Please join me in giving Patrice a warm welcome back to Norwich Public Schools. Her wealth of experience, collaborative spirit, and unwavering focus on continuous improvement make her a tremendous asset to our team. Together, we will continue to elevate the educational experience for all our students. So welcome back, Patrice.
And I've had the honor of attending a couple of sessions with Patrice recently, so welcome, Patrice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the report of, oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Make this quick. I did put in front of everyone, just to give you an update of the pre-K. I'm not gonna go into too much detail. It's right next to you, but I just want to point out just the enrollment update. 81% of our slots are filled as of November 8th, and that's 272 slots of the 332, which is an increase by 5%. So you can read the rest of it. Some of it is some things that I pointed out last month as well. So if you have any questions, let me know. The other item that I'd like to bring up is, which I haven't brought up since last year, is our vacancies. Just so everyone is aware, we have a grade 7 math at Kelly Middle School here at Kelly, grade 7 science, grade 8 science at Kelly, and grade 7 science at Global. So those are typically the hardest ones to fill, math and science. We also have an out-of-district student liaison, and I know that we've done probably at least five interviews. So
Yes, we're in the process right now of trying to wrap that up.
So that's my report.
Okay, any questions for Susan? All right, report of the acting assistant superintendent, Jamie Bender.
Okay, so you have the updated report on academics in different areas of our department, but I just want to go over a couple of highlights. We started out after our last Board of Ed meeting having a really incredible Hispanic Heritage event that was widely attended by our community. It was such a great mix of our students and community members and staff showcasing their artistic and cultural gifts. We saw lots of singing and dancing and playing music. It was an October highlight for sure. And with our district coming together on behalf of the talented and dedicated MLL department, which always dazzles us with that event each year. Today, we also met with our Connecticut State Department of Ed constituents who support us in a lot of ways, but we have 3 standing meetings a year where we talk about our goals around alliance funding in particular. They gives a different type of format this time, where it was definitely more dialogue and take in terms of the discussion items. But one of the things that we discussed this time that was different than any other meeting that we've been a part of is the tool that you can find on EdSite that's called the Resource Allocation Review Tool. And that allows us as a district to keep an eye on our spending in terms of equitable allocations across our district, looking at how much we allocate for each school. And so we learned a lot through that process, and I'm glad to continue that work moving forward. Already we're using that same type of framework to look at how our grants are equitably resourced out. So that was it was a great meeting today. Lots of favorable comments from the State Department, and we're, as we always are, looking forward to continuing the work of improving our academics and beyond.
Jamie, was there something specific today that you guys identified that you could share with us today?
Well, we're always looking at the academics, but we definitely are kind of celebrating some of our attendance initiatives. While we still have work to do, when we look at comparatively from last year till this fall, we have made some definite gains. So they were really curious about how we were doing that here. Again, we kind of attribute to a lot of different variables, but having that streamlined approach of our coordinators at the building level who can help facilitate some of the strategies and interventions for our students that need it the most, I think is definitely a reason for that. But we're also, ensuring that we're paying attention to the right things and coordinating those efforts. So attendance is one of them. We know that Kelly has done some great turnaround work already, and are kind of taken off the list at this point. So that was a highlight for involvement of the state. That's kind of goes, it's positive and negative because we've enjoyed the work that state has done with us for turnaround efforts. We're going to continue those, but they have been taken off the turnaround list for the State Department. And we talked about Uncas being one of the schools that has earned this distinction, particularly for their high need students and how they've improved in that area. So,
And also veterans.
yeah, veterans also, with the growth on some of those academic scores. So we look forward to those meetings. I don't know if all districts do, but we certainly welcome their support of us and the work that they do with us. And also, really happy that, despite losing a planetarium teacher for global this year and not being able to replace that teacher because it's hard to come by, we resurrected the planetarium and had our first visits happen from across for our grade levels to participate in lessons in our planetarium once again. So we've had some first graders come and so fortunate to have Andrew Portfelt, who also had a vision of resurrecting like the way that used to be with our planetarium. So really looking forward to that continuing. He's worked with Ashley Eichhorn and our instructional coaches to ensure that what's being offered is aligned with our curricular aspects. So really great. Coming up is going to be some family nights for each school. So that's in the works for planning to bring parents and family members out so they can also see that great gift that we have in North Public Schools with planetarium. Thank you.
And I noticed tonight that Venus was out beautifully tonight, so. Okay, report of any questions for Jamie? No? Okay. Report of the Director of Student Services, Dr. Hughes.
Hi, good evening. So I will be brief. In your packet this evening, you'll see the enrollment data as typically outlined. We are at 105 outplacements. We will be hopefully under 100 soon. I just want to bring that to your attention. In addition, several times a year, I do put in a graphic about different priorities in the department, and you'll just notice a couple of highlights of professional capacity, building practices within our special programs. For example, our Strive program had a wonderful professional development opportunity where they were learning from each other over this last week for professional development. We have a really fantastic special education leadership, teacher leadership committee that are working on problems of practice in district and helping solve those challenges that we might run into. In addition to, and it was great to hear from the state today. Another thing I wanted to add on to that is the state thought it was great that we had a variety of individuals at the table today, and they don't see that in every district. And I really appreciate being part of those conversations as well. So it was really nice to hear them highlight the district for that. In addition to that, we talked today with the state about the Bureau of Special Education's visit and what came with that. And so you'll see that in the Office of Student Services highlights. And then, of course, I like to highlight some of our special programs and the work that's being done. You'll notice that the unique learning system that we use in special programs did a whole unit on our leaders in our world, and they were able to meet with State Rep Darrell Wilson and have a great visit with him. And you can see him on the steps of the Norwich City Hall. So it was really bringing that learning to a new level. So there are several pictures there. In addition to that, news from our Norwich Transition Academy and the wonderful work that continues to be happening there. We have a student that was honored with a UCP Independent Excellence and Independence Award, Makala Leonard, one of our young adults, so congratulations. In addition to that, we will have our NTA Open House and Information Night, and that's upcoming, save the date please, on May 15th, as well as our Autism Wellness and Resource Fair, which is always a well-attended and fun event, and that will be in April on the 24th. In addition to that, we have our school health report, and I don't know where we would be without our school nurses, so thank you to them. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Lisa? And,
Mark, I have a question.
yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Tejani. Sorry for not being there in person. Lisa, regarding the unique learning system that you mentioned in your presentation.
Yes.
First, I just want to make a comment that this is a great program that has been implemented in our school district. I think this specific program is very important to educate the young minds in our learn about the three branches of government and how laws, become, implemented in society. And I think this is just very beneficial for our students to learn that and to keep, civic engagement going. Because, as we all know, when they grow up, it's very important that the future minds that we educate today and they, grow up to become adults, that they retain these information and know how our government system works. So I appreciate that you brought about this this program, and that this particular program exists. My question is this new learning system a one-time deal, or is it an annual thing or a monthly thing?
Sure.
Stats for that.
Thank you for that. I hope you can hear me. It is something that we're utilizing as the curriculum in our special programs, in our Strive classrooms for our most vulnerable learners with autism. And it is, not only does it have units of study like the government study, it also has very, current events and those types of things, a lot of functional life skills and very usable topics. Last year at the Autism Wellness Fair, the Kelly Middle School's program also came with projects from the students on the human body systems, just learning about respiration and circulation. And it was really amazing to see the level of learning that happens with a really high quality curriculum. So I'm really thankful for the adoption, as well as all elementary and middle school working together to make it as great as it can be for all of our students.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, I just want to remind everyone, since she did mention on the nursing report, to keep up with your flu and COVID immunizations. And if you're an older person, the RSV, pneumonia shots, possibly shingles. And most of those are covered by Medicare or if you have decent insurance. Okay, Bob, I think, is out.
He's out by accident.
Yeah, he's tracking down some great northern ungulates, I
He's
believe.
way up north somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'll present for him. You can see that. I'm not going to read everything on here. There's been little change in the salary forecast from last month. At this point in time, net total salary expenses are forecast to be under budget by approximately $250,000 to $300,000. The largest negative salary impact item continues to be the ongoing cost of the administrative investigation. The forecast assumes the extra expense will continue for the entire fiscal year. The NFA special education tuition expense line item and the Griswold special education expense line item reflects significant negative budget variances. NFA's programs are 1.4 million over budget, while Griswold programs are 309,845 over budget. The higher expense reflects an increase in student enrollment. Tuition expense at Bacon Academy, Waterford, and Griswold are collectively 132,932 under budget. The other thing I'll mention is the first month of transportation. This is good news. Expenses show a favorable trend compared to the budget on a per day basis. The cost per day was approximately $2,000 less than last year for the transportation services. Regarding the 2025-2026 budget, packages for building, we met as a team and are now sending them out to building level. Non-salary expenses, they've been distributed to each school. The budget requests are due back for review by the end of this month. Initial work on the salary budget has begun. The salary budget will be based on the projected base staffing levels that meet the district's needs. I will add that I'm glad that we don't have to go through ESSER from last year, so that's a big relief. That's a lot less needs to go into it because of that. The business administrator entered into a diesel fuel contract for bus fuel through the Rest Alliance Consortium for the 25-26 school year, and it's 18 cents less than this year and result in an $18,000 savings.
Question on that $2,000 a day transportation savings attributed to?
It's contributed to not having buses with bus stops. Before, it was almost door to door to door, so we stopped that, and then also for the mile and a half for NFA.
Okay. Now we get into new business. We could have our school building official representatives from CSG and the DRA come up and talk about the what they need us to do to get the project moving.
Yes. I don't know how to use this. Did you get the items?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, those are his and then mine are in the other, yep, thank you. This is perfect. Oh, I guess I need to download them. That one. Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Let me just pass these out. So I do have some handouts that I'm gonna pass out. These are just hard copies of these. What's that? There's not enough for everyone.
Oh, okay.
There's 3 copies of each one of the education specifications for the, well, let me start by saying, my name is Michael Faenza. I'm a project manager with Construction Solutions Group. We are the owner's project manager for the Stanton Elementary School, the Greenville Elementary School, the Moriarty Elementary School, and most recently, the Uncas Elementary School. If you guys, if the committee remembers, we had a few months back, we had come to you with educational specifications to support a grant application for the Uncas Elementary School as well as the John M. Moriarty Elementary School. At the time that we had come to you for approval on those educational specifications, we were using district enrollment data that was approximately a year and a half to 2 years old at the time. We had already received estimates for the Greenville and John B. Stanton Elementary School project. From the first estimate iteration, we realized that there may be some budget issues, and that forced the building committee to take a deeper dive into the enrollment, the cost for all of the building projects, and over the past year, we did a new demographic report for the district that encompassed all of the students that are within the district. What that report showed us that there were some mathematical errors in the first enrollment report that had been completed. The new report was done by a local Connecticut firm that does a lot of demographic enrollment reports for many districts throughout the state. And what it yielded was that the total elementary school population was slightly less than what the original report had provided to us. And as a result of that, it allowed us to lower the size of the Uncas Elementary School as well as the John M. Moriarty Elementary School. When we had provided these educational specifications to you for the first go-around for approval, these buildings were contemplated at 601 students. The new demographic information allows us to lower the enrollment projection for these schools down to 548 students, and that coincides with the 601 students that will be at the Greenville and Stanton School. Over the course of the past couple months after the architect was selected for these projects, we went through an effort to look at the spaces based on the lowered student enrollment. The state of Connecticut, through the Office of Grants Administration, has a formula that establishes how many square feet that you're allowed per student. As the enrollment had shrunk, the building size also shrunk, which provided us some budget savings. And in coordination with district administration, we went back through the educational specifications, looked at the space allocations that we had, and made some changes to these educational specifications in order to support the lower enrollment of the new schools. So the good thing about this is that there's budget relief for the taxpayers. The other good thing about this is that the original educational program remained entirely intact. The schools will be almost exactly the same as far as the offerings for the students in the schools. And the only differences between the schools will be approximately 5,000 square feet at completion, and one Strive classroom was removed from each of the two new buildings just to get us to the numbers that we needed to be in line with the state space standards. So the reason that I didn't print out full-size copies of all of these packets for everyone is that the changes are very minor. The descriptions are almost exactly the same of the spaces because the spaces haven't changed. And as part of the grant applications that we made for these two projects, for the Uncas Elementary School and the Moriarty Elementary School, as the budget had changed for the project in order to keep everything moving along, we had submitted grant applications based on the larger size. We received some feedback from the Office of Grants Administration that in order to be on this year's priority list, which comes out every year for school construction projects within the state, they needed to see revised cost estimates as well as a revised educational specification for each of these buildings reflecting the new current sizes. So that's what you have in front of you. This is just the cover sheet for the Uncas project. I could bring up the cover sheet for the Moriarty project, but they're almost identical in text and in the square footages and the narratives for each of the spaces are exactly the same between the two buildings.
So what was the change in total enrollment?
The change in total enrollment, I would have to get back to you on the total enrollment number, but it dropped from 601 students to 548 students at each of these buildings. So basically, the way that we calculated the district enrollment was the demographic report provides a total enrollment for the entire district. And the reason for that is because obviously when the school construction program is over, the 4 schools that remain at the end of the school construction program will then support all of the elementary school population within Norwich. In a typical scenario, if you were doing a one-off school construction project, you would analyze the demographic information for one single school. But because in our situation, we're going from 7 to 4 schools, you know, looking down the line into the future, rather than giving an individual enrollment for each building, it was more prudent to look at the entire district population and then size all the buildings appropriately based on the entire district versus if we were to do a demographic report for just Uncas per se, because the way that Uncas operates in the future may be slightly different than it does currently.
Okay, so based on these new enrollment numbers, just thinking about future-wise, 5 years down the line, 10 years after this building gets built, what if we're seeing an increase in enrollment? Will that be like, would these buildings be able to accommodate like a 10% or 20% enrollment?
So one component of the enrollment and demographic information that we have to provide to the state is that it's done 10 years out, and the state allows us to consider the highest 8 years from the year of the grant application. So when the demographer redid the report for us, they went out 10 years, and then we're able to consider 8 years and then choose the highest enrollment of the 8 years that's gone out. So in this case, that's already been built into the projects.
So because the elementary schools dropped about 100 students overall, it's also going to drop any renovations and size estimates for teachers.
Well,
No, for the 2 elementary.
for the 2 elementary schools.
2 elementaries, yes.
The teachers project will be sized appropriately based on the capacity of this building in addition to whatever we need after this building is at capacity, then whatever's left would then go towards the new teachers middle school. So if you had 1,000 students and this building can hold 600, we would build the teachers middle school to 400 to support the additional students that can't be captured within this campus.
Right, but you're using that same demographic study, correct?
Correct, but with regard to these 2 projects, that demographic study, we were only analyzing the elementary enrollment versus the middle school enrollment.
So we're gonna need another updated demographic in 4 or 5 years for the teachers project?
No, you won't, because next year the grant applications for the teachers project would go in. The state usually wants this information within 2 years of recency. So the updated demographic information that we've received will be applicable to the teachers middle school project and the Huntington Central Office project.
Right, so because these are the elementary schools, eventually, I mean, the law of nature, children get older every year.
Correct.
So they're eventually gonna end up in junior high.
Yes.
So the numbers that were at the elementary school, those numbers, when they reach junior high level, that's the number we're gonna have.
Yeah, and the demographic report takes all of that into consideration. So it delineates the elementary population, then it delineates the middle school population, and all of those students leaving the elementary cohort to the middle school cohort is included within those projections.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So the approximately 100 total less students in the study at the elementary level, because it's approximately 50 students less than we projected in each of Uncas and Moriarty, that's 100 kids overall,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So that 100, that cohort is eventually gonna get up to the junior high level, so you're gonna have 100 less kids. However, they're distributed between Kelly and
right,
teachers.
yes,
And that's gonna reflect in the size of teachers too,
yes.
meaning that it's gonna have to be a smaller building.
And basically, the estimating effort that we've done has taken that into consideration as well. And part of the reason that we're bringing these revised ed specs back to you for reapproval is the smaller size, and it was a tool to, assist the building committee with, making budgetary changes that were necessary to continue the school construction program the way it is.
And then because we were able to choose the highest enrollment for that 8-year period, that should cover us unless something really amazing happens in Norwich and we have a huge population spike.
And I will tell you that the demographic report that was done takes all of those things into consideration. They talk to neighborhood and planning development agencies, they look at influx of families coming into the town, new dwelling units that are created that would potentially impact the enrollment, job creation within the area and families potentially moving into Norwich as a result of that. So the demographic report is very well encompassing of all of the trends within Norwich to ensure that, that we are building these buildings to an appropriate size and future-proofing them as much as possible.
Right, so my concern is that we don't have to go back to the taxpayers and say, oops, we need a bigger building now. And that's,
And all requirements that are outlined by the Office of Grants Administration have been met with this, and, we're following all of their practices and procedures to a T.
okay. Any other questions for Mike?
And I can, also mirror Mark Betancourt's previous statements. We were put under quite a deadline in order to get this information into the state of actually this Friday. So I just want to thank Superintendent Lassard and her entire team for looking at the space allocation matrix and these ed specs and getting those turned around very quickly, as well as this board for letting us come and present these to you tonight.
Okay. So then we have, so this covers the specs.
It covers the specs. It should cover the specs for both projects. They're virtually identical. The buildings will be sized exactly the same, similar to how Stanton and Greenville are. And when I say exactly the same, they might be slightly different from a square footage standpoint based on site limitations, but the programs will all be basically exactly the same between these two buildings, and then Stanton and Greenville will also be exactly the same.
Okay, so I guess we're ready for DRA to tell us how we translate those rolls on that dolly into actual buildings.
Well, do you need to make a motion to accept these revised educational specifications, or can?
I think we'll do it all.
Oh, okay, all right.
after the presentation.
I basically, in order for our grant submissions to be,
Right, no,
considered by the state, I need certified meeting minutes by Friday in order to submit those to them, so. Oh, let me pull yours up here. Yeah, I can be the clicker.
And you need certified minutes on that too, Mike?
Yeah, so I'll speak to Amber. I'll speak to Amber after the meeting, because obviously, the minutes don't get formalized until next meeting, so we'll have to have the recording secretary certify the minutes, and then I'll bring them to the city clerk for their certification tomorrow or whenever they're available, so that we can get those submitted to the state.
Okay, I'm sure Mrs. Scribner will definitely help you with that. I'm going to use that
Yeah.
every time I talk about you.
And I mean, I can give a little bit of an introduction. Two of the other motions that were on the agenda for tonight were the approval of the final plans, specifications, and cost estimates for the Greenville and Stanton schools. This is another statutorily required item that we need in order to go for our plan completion review with the state of Connecticut, which allows us to go out to bid, so.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Jim Barrett. I am principal with Drummy Roseanne Anderson. We have been the design lead for the Greenville and Stanton Elementary School projects. So we've been active for a little more than a year in terms of pulling documentation together to support these projects. And as Mike indicated, important hurdles as we head forward. We will be in front of the state with your approval and with your vote in front of the state OGA's office for their final review, targeting the end of this month for Stanton and just at the outset of December for Greenville. Our team over the last 3 months has been active in what is known as construction documentation. At a recent meeting, I asked for a head count across everybody within the team's call. 68 professional team members. That's across landscape architecture, civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, structural, architectural. It's a deep team with a lot of action or a lot of activities being shared. And so what I hope to do this evening is share with you a little bit of that complexity so that you have a sense in terms of what you're supporting in the vote. I brought the dolly along in hopes that maybe we could spread out some paper, but actually I think we'll be better served using the screen with your okay. So we have 2 discussion items for Greenville and Stanton. The first is construction documentation, and then I have some sample documents. And in terms of just a document overview, this is the cover sheet for the Stanton Elementary School. That's a 30 by 42 format, large scale professional engineering scale documentation. Those are used at the sites in construction, and these will be the review documents for the state. The document off to the left-hand side of the screen is the specifications manual. We have that for Stanton. We have similar sets of documentation for the Greenville Elementary School. And to give you kind of just a look under the hood, if you will, this is the 3rd page in on each of these sets, and this is volume 1, and that's the listing of documents. The summary off to the right, highlighted up top, it's this first grouping in volume 1. And that grouping represents about 226 pages of documentation. The specifications for each of the buildings, each at about 225 pages of documentation across those various disciplines. This is volume 2, and again, this is the lower portion of the entire set, so this is the structural through technology sections, 173, and as I suggested, about 400 sheets of documentation for each of the buildings. To give you a sense of what those documents entail, this is a sample from the Greenville and overall floor plan. What's highlighted in red is just one subsection. Greenville is a 3-story building, so everything you see is replicated by 3 for the most part. This is a blow up of that area. And the type of detail that's within this, it's a sense of within every space, understanding layout, configuration, furniture, lockers if they're applicable, or cubbies. So it's quite extensive in terms of the type of information available. And I'm sorry, I'm looking for my return. Not letting me do it. There we go. Thank you, Michael. So that's floor plan. This is a finished floor plan. So taking a look at finish and material, our interiors group, heavy hand in this portion of the work. But again, just focused on this B area within the Greenville project at one floor level. This is a reflected ceiling plan of that same area. So this is as if we sat in this space and looked up at the ceiling. What's the material of the ceiling? What type of lighting? What type of fire protection has to be distributed within it? Those types of questions from a construction standpoint are answered. And this is a roof plan of that zone of the building. So this kind of layering of documentation is found for both projects at each section of the building. The red arrow leads to kind of consideration of elevational study. So we're going to look at that portion of the building blown up. And this detailing gives a contractor a sense of material, scale, number of windows, types of windows, organization, control joints. A lot of information is shared. And this extended in terms of an overall section of the building. That's this portion of the building that was just blown up for you. And we do that across each of these various areas. Turning to the inside, thinking elevations, these are sections through corridors giving a sense of what materials are found, location, color, material, organization, stairs, those types of elements. And these interior elevations actually dive into spaces like classroom space. So you see organization of casework within a classroom, cubbies within a classroom space, those types of elements described so that it can be competitively bid. These are full building sections, so like the elevations, but now actually slicing through the building and taking a look through the building. These are very useful when we're coordinating with our mechanical engineers, with our structural engineers. We work collaboratively on a common model, so this is constantly updated in time. This allows us to understand clash detections, those types of concerns in terms of construction. We have a full detail team where they take the wall sections and then break it down by material, by element, and be able to kind of fine tune how the various materials, how the various systems come together to form a full exterior envelope for the building. These are blow-ups of the various detail areas. And again, there's a myriad of these, but wanted to give you a sampling of each of the sections of the types of product. These are roof section details, so really the termination between the roof and the vertical wall of the building is critical, and it's one that we spend a lot of time in terms of detail, but it's for good reason. It's where most failures in a building occur. So we do spend a good amount of time there. And similarly in plan detail, being able to look conditions of exterior, then transitioning to interior, how they align, how they're organized, and how we maintain continuity of air vapor barrier or insulation for the building. These are samples of some enlarged plans, particularly at toilet cores. As you can imagine, anywhere where hard surfaces are required, they become expensive areas. We spend a lot of time in detail of this. It helps us get very good, strong, competitive bidding. These are further sets of enlarged elevations of various sections of these types of spaces. Signage is important in the building, and as you can imagine, across a lot of different types of signages and details.
Similarly, stairs, detailing of stairs throughout the building is something that we spend a great amount of time in. Lastly, casework detailing, actual kind of components which are wood component within spaces, and millwork details for specialty areas, breakout areas, common gathering areas, etc. So that kind of wraps up what we're here to share with you in terms of the documentation that's been expended for both of these buildings. I did bring along some renderings that had been shared with the building committee a few weeks back, just to get a sense of what does all that hopefully lead to. And this is an exterior of the Greenville Elementary School with its arrival sequence. This is just getting in the door, having a look from the main entrance back out to the bus lobby, or the bus entrance on the opposite side of the building. This is getting out to the midpoint of this and looking back to the main stair, circulation stair at the center of the building. Moving up into the space, small breakout spaces are placed throughout this building. And it's for the opportunity to have students gather with staff in smaller groupings where appropriate. This is the student dining cafeteria area looked at from two different angles with its servery and main entry point from that lobby space that we were just in. This is the Learning Commons, so this view at the library entrance into the space. One of the unique components of the educational specification that you have set in place is that we do have makerspace available directly within the library, so hands-on learning shared within the library space. Also small reading areas, breakout areas, opportunities for students to spend time with books, gymnasium space. And then just quickly over to Stanton, similar sequence, exterior arrival into main entry space, gathering space looking back out to the main entrance, and you see the administration suite just off to the side here, so great visibility and control of those that are coming and going. One of the key elements of both program statements is separation of public space from academics, such that this is the main gym cafeteria arrival area. This can be segregated off from the academic areas of the building, such that after hours use, weekend use is very much a possibility without having to have people move throughout the building. Again, into their cafeteria to give you a sense of it. And again, it's gymnasium space. And so that's a quick overview of the documentation. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. And
in the picture showing the administration.
Yes.
Where was the SRO office going to be again in relation to that?
Hold on, let me get back to the floor plan.
So,
See how fast I am, Jim.
yeah.
Actually, we don't.
We don't have the
Oh,
full
yeah.
set of plans here, so Mike, you will not
Yeah,
find
yeah.
it. SRO was asked to be associated with the upper elementary grade levels. So it's combined with the fourth and fifth grade elements at the Greenville. It's at the third level. It's near an entry point to that facility.
But an entry point for whom?
It would be an entry point during the school day. It should be for nobody, quite honestly, because it wants to all go through the main circulation space at the lower level.
So, and that was what the staff that served on the committee helped, offering suggestions. That was what they had suggested along with the SROs. That was what they wanted.
Yes.
Yeah, we had the SRO.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised.
In terms
that
of,
I expressed
in
that
terms of their
before.
location and where they're embedded relative to the student population, yes, absolutely. That was a conversation that was pretty robust, and actually, we initially had it where I think you may think it wants to be, near the main entry point to the facility, but that was their desire.
Well, my concern was the visitors.
Sure.
Visitors entering the building.
We have very, well, just to speak to that a bit, we have tremendous control at the entry points, and actually, we modified our approach to be one that was more in line with what was felt to be most successful here within this district. So there is an exterior door, there is a single entry door during the operational component of the day. That door is electronically controlled. You are buzzered in upon announcement of who you are and physical seeing who this is. Brought into the space, again, that's a man lock, so the door behind, the door in front, and the door to the side, well, there was a door to the side leading, it's no longer there. Now it's a transaction window. So somebody coming to drop off a lunch, simply, somebody has forgotten their lunch, through the transaction window, it's given to the staff and it's placed at the office. The individual never has to enter the building, be badged in.
They don't gain access to the main.
Correct.
Without being released.
Correct. If you are there for purposes of being brought into the building, you can actually be badged in at the transaction window and then move straight in.
And at both schools, we have the windows all along like that, at the administration section. They
Yeah.
can all see the hallway, like if
Yeah.
someone by chance was to
Yes.
access, they would be visible.
Yes. No, there's,
All things that the SROs were involved in.
Oh, yeah, that's why I asked, I figured they were.
Yeah, there were numerous meetings with
Yeah.
with every form of district administration, gym, the normal teaching spaces, the food service
Like I said,
department,
you
yeah.
can- You have to have worked in it to know, I mean, you could be an SRO.
Oh, right.
serving things, but unless you've actually worked in a school
Right.
office, you don't know. And
Well,
that's why
and
having a bubble like that with the access and everything makes a huge difference.
yeah,
So,
and it was all staff members from Norwich Public Schools that helped us with all
like
of
I
the
said,
components.
unless you worked, you know what I mean? Because did anybody from the actual school offices
Yes.
participate in
Yeah,
that
yes.
too? They did?
Yes.
The
Oh,
girls
yeah.
and the secretaries and everything?
Yeah.
Good.
For every single space, we had whomever.
Was needed for that
It was a
space.
several month section, that was during design development, so this is about 6 months ago. We went through a series of weekly meetings, thankfully
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Susan and her team, to be able to organize it such that we could, as we looked at the gym as an example, we had people there to speak specifically to those issues.
Concerned, especially the people actually work in this space.
Sure.
That, sometimes things like that are overlooked, because they're
Yeah.
not at the top of the scale.
Yep.
They're some of the most important people in the building.
Understood.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
And in the renderings that you showed, I saw, various designs in the flooring and ceilings and whatnot. How much of that is actually sort of set in stone, or is it just design license for the renderings?
We are, at this point, that which looked kind of organic and freeform is documented. We're at a place now where we're ready to be out in front of competitive public bidding to be able to procure the work. So we're looking for the lowest qualified bidder in each of those divisions. Hence the need for kind of the rigorous kind of documentation effort in terms of.
So whatever best deal you can get on tiling and, that would.
We're looking for
do as far as
quality level
color,
that meets this,
quality.
yeah. And it has to be typically an open spec where we're looking, it's an or equal. We name a basis of design. We have to identify 2 others who can compete with that. But it's basically an open, it's an open spec such that as long as quality level can be demonstrated, and we're, again, looking for evidence that whoever is the installer has the capacity to do it at this level.
Do you folks have to use the approved vendor list for a project, for school projects like this? I know for FFE, we always had to use the state approved vendor list, and we had to have 3 bids.
So
So
3 bids are, three bids typically required in terms of approved vendor list. I believe there is a DAS certification that
Yeah.
has to be identified as part of their submission. And Mike probably
Yeah.
knows more than I.
There's pre-qualification forms, there's bonding capacity that's required to do this. It's, you know, Christina and Mike Tile Service wouldn't be able to just, you know, pop up one night and then throw a bid on. There's many layers of securities to guarantee that the contractors that are bidding on this through, and we have a construction manager that will be managing the construction effort through the whole process.
I know sometimes there's companies that aren't even aware of it, they're new to doing business in the state. you
Yeah.
know? So there might be, but because they haven't done the paperwork,
Yeah.
on the list and paid the fee.
Then there are certain design elements too, like the vertical sound baffles that you've put in most of the drawings in, say, the cafeteria or whatnot. Those are part of, they serve a functional purpose.
Well,
That's
absolutely.
more so than a design element.
Yeah, absolutely. State of Connecticut requires that there is an acquisition who overviews the progress of the project. We have specific learning areas that carry specific STC, sound transmission coefficient ratings. We have to establish that we can perform to those levels. So yes, the baffles that you see, they're there with a purpose, and that's to reduce the amount of sound reflection and to absorb and dampen sound in hard surface areas.
And then I imagine there's some kind of post-installation testing to make sure everything is up to spec.
Yes, we do punch lists throughout the entirety of the construction.
There's independent materials testing labs that are required by Jim and his team's structural drawings. They come perform independent testing on elements as they're getting built to ensure that they meet the specification. Then there's engineering teams that are reviewing those reports to make sure that the work that's put in place meets the specification and that the tests are being done appropriately. It's belt and suspenders all the way through.
Pre-installation testing also of the materials, making sure concrete is up to spec and all of that.
Yep.
We do have wall sample elements that are constructed in advance of the receipt of materials so that we can see the material in place combined with other materials in kind of critical areas. So areas where windows abut masonry, for instance, turning the corner of a masonry, creating a roof edge. All of those elements are built in advance of the project so that we can see it, approve it, and understand that's the performance kind of standard for the building as you move forward.
Yeah, we don't want to end up in a situation like the homeowners did with the pyrite and the concrete and the crumbling foundation problem throughout, this part of the state.
Sure.
Okay. So that concludes your presentation?
I think it's important to also touch on, as part of this approval, there's cost, that's Jim's, I don't know. There's cost estimates that are attached to these, so I'm just gonna pull up a sample, which is the Greenville cost estimate. So on these projects, we have a construction management partner that will be managing the construction. They provide estimates for us as we go through the different design iterations. Now that we're at construction documents, this will basically be one of the final estimates that they do prior to giving the city a maximum price for the project. And it's similar, I guess you can't do it that way. And basically, it goes into the same level of detail that Jim's drawings have as well. It may be hard to read, but every element that goes into the building is quantified with a dollar value. So, you have all of the staffing costs. You can see carpet, tile, painting, flooring, plumbing fixtures, fire suppression, air handling equipment, electrical, telecommunications, fire alarm, elevators. Every element that goes into one of these buildings becomes quantified, as well as the construction manager's staffing costs. And then they arrive at what's considered a guaranteed maximum price. They take the drawings that are on this cart right here, send them out to the subcontracting base throughout the state of Connecticut. We get sealed bids for each one of the different bid packages. The construction manager will review those bid packages, ensure that the contractors that have bid on them have included all of the elements of the design in their pricing. And then, we'll come back to the city with a guaranteed maximum price, and then the project will essentially kick off. And these steps that we're going through right now are primarily for approval from the state of Connecticut so that we can be allowed to go out to bid for these projects with the subcontracting base. But I just wanted to, highlight this effort. Literally every line is broken down in multiple different details.
So if you need 10
there's
3/4 inch stainless steel panhead screws,
Yep.
that's in there.
exactly, and there's, for instance, this is rebar. It's measured in the amount of tons of steel that you're providing for the structure, and also with regards to these estimates, it's important to know that the construction manager does an estimate, and also Jim's team has an independent estimator. Once both of the two parties have arrived at a final price, we all sit in a room, go through each individual estimate in a great amount of detail. And for instance, if, the construction manager had a quantity of 6,000 square feet for formwork, and Jim's estimator had a quantity of, 12,000 square feet of formwork, we would then discuss that item because there's a big variance between the items to ensure that the cost estimating data that we have is as accurate as possible.
It's a great way to spend a day, folks.
Then you have to account for percentage waste and all.
Oh, right, and you saw that right here, like, on the concrete materials, 261 cubic yards of concrete, and that's, waste is included in all of the factors for all of this.
And you'll be coming to us for each of those decisions, right?
Just to you, Mark.
Just to me.
Just to you.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, one of the marks. Yeah, one of the marks. There you go. Right. Okay, so, action item 9.1. I believe the motion is printed out. If you click on it, the motion is there.
Motion to authorize the chairman of the Norwich Board of Ed to certify the Norwich Board of Education's approval of final plans, project manual, cost estimate for state project 104-0118N, John B. Stanton Elementary School, phase 1 of 2.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And Kevin? Okay, it's unanimous. Item number 2.
I'll make that motion.
You got it?
I saw you looking. Motion to authorize the chairman of the Norwich Board of Ed to certify the Norwich Board of Education's approval of final plans, project manual, and cost estimate for state project 104-0119N, Greenville Elementary School, phase 1 of 2.
And could I have a second? Okay, have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Kevin?
Chairman Catani votes yes.
Perfect for Halloween. Item 3.
Make a motion to authorize the Norwich Board of Education to approve the revised educational specifications for the John M. Moriarty Elementary School project. State project number to be determined.
Okay, and could I have a second?
Second that.
All right, a second by Heather. Discussion? All in favor? Yeah, go ahead.
So, now that, we're in the process of voting on these final plans, do you have an estimated timeline? Maybe you mentioned that earlier, and I missed it, for when we're gonna start.
Oh, when we're gonna start? Tentatively right now, it'll be around March of 2025. So, you'll have 2 months of a review period before we finally go out to bid. We're gonna be looking to go out to bid sometime right after the first of the year. Then another 2-month period of the construction management firm receiving bids and doing scope reviews for all the low bid contractors. And then after that will be approximately when ground will be broken at the.
Longer than March 2025, based on all of that.
Well, some of the duration is already currently ticking, like the approvals are happening right now, so yeah.
And which schools again?
Greenville and Stanton would be first, and then Uncas and Moriarty would follow a similar timeline in 2025. Or 26, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and Uncas, because it's such a tight area, we would probably try to move the students off that campus into one of the newly built schools so that that area is completely free of students.
Oh, that's great news.
Well,
We haven't done it yet.
Oh.
we haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay.
But that would accelerate, that would.
Yeah, that'd be phenomenal.
Thank you.
That would be the ideal.
That would be the idea, I think. What do you
Right,
think,
Susan?
Susan?
Process that.
The-
Easy.
I should put the disclaimer, the logistics of how those projects will be phased will be discussed as we get further through the
Right.
design.
I mean, that's the hopeful thing to happen there.
Mark, if I may, I mean, there's one other point. We haven't closed any other schools either, so the other schools will still be operating, and if necessary, they could be used as swing space also, So once we get the first 2 open, there'll be space to move people around. The problem is, let's face it, Susan and I have talked about that, it's gonna be a kind of a little bit of a horror show in order to get everybody moved around. And some of these, there'll be multiple moves, so it's not gonna be an easy thing. So I think, Susan, you're gonna be bringing somebody on to help out with that, I believe.
Yeah, we're looking into, we've had this discussion, we're looking into having a company actually do the redistricting for us.
Yeah.
And that would be including the staffing and everything.
So that's, not to make it more difficult for you, but, but that's, so ultimately, we hope to have some flexibility and to be able to do some of this stuff. Give you an example, if we were able to empty out Uncas and clear the site out, it would save a considerable amount of money in building costs in order to do that, if we were able to do that. So we would love to do that with Stanton, but that's just no way we could do it, because that space doesn't exist. Thank you. Sorry.
Well, we're going to be attending the CAVE convention this weekend, so maybe there's logistics specialists at that.
We know, we have some people in mind that we're gonna get some quotes from them.
Excellent. So, and he'll be there with his freebies.
Hopefully some better stuff this year.
Hopefully. You better hook Susan up. She's a little down from the Griswold
You have to
folks.
steal something from Kevin, since he's not here.
Okay, let's continue on. Item 9.4.
9.3.
Oh, no, we didn't. We were still on the question period. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Okay, are we all set? All approve?
Aye.
Aye. And Kevin? Okay, excellent. And 9-4. Grab a motion, please.
I'll make the motion, which we get the right one. Motion to authorize the Norwich Board of Education to approve the revised educational specifications for the Uncas Elementary School project, state project to be determined.
And could I have a second? Okay, Chris. And any discussion? Okay, all in approval?
Aye.
Aye also. And Kevin?
I vote yes.
Excellent. Okay. So that's takes care of your approvals, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
And,
Appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it, really. Susan will be in touch.
check with Amber with,
It's good to see Jim in person and not on Zoom.
I didn't roll those out.
okay, 2,000 pages of, no. Okay. Now we go into 9-5, first read of the school calendar. I think if we click on that, will that pop up?
One thing that I would think about with the school calendar is Christmas being earlier in the week. We have a very short week going into Christmas, a Monday and a half day on Tuesday. With an ending on June 10th, I think it'd be, consider making the Christmas vacation longer, having a later end of school. Just from a teacher's point of view,
23rd.
those days are
Yeah, the 19th before I would agree to where it's beginning. The 22nd and the 23rd.
You know,
For families
what
and for
happened,
kids.
most kids aren't gonna be there.
So we do look at the Learn calendar, just so you know too, and we go
Yep.
off of everyone and that's.
A lot of
And
schools
then
are
we look
doing
at
this.
NFA's calendar and we look at
Monday, Tuesday.
the Learn and NFA, we try to match it because of the busing with NFA. So
And
we-
Norwich Tech, they try to match with NFA with Norwich Tech.
That's why we match with
And you-
NFA,
right,
because of
that's
the
what I
busing.
mean.
So that's one of the reasons we kept it, we have to pay for busing anyways on those days, so,
And they
Yeah,
have
we-
the 22nd down for school?
yes, yeah, half day.
Usually the
Especially with the
22nd.
teenagers.
Not the 22nd, yep, school, and then the 23rd would be early release, and so we are looking.
Yeah, so it's
like I
a
said,
full
it's
day
just
on
like all the
Monday
other
and a half
schools.
day on Tuesday.
So we're in alignment with the other schools.
In the April break, that's in alignment to where they have Good Friday and then
Yes.
The one thought that I had looking at the calendar was Veterans Day, the 11th. I attended a ceremony yesterday, 11/11/11, of elementary school, it was phenomenal.
So I would agree with that. I know that that's something we haven't touched yet, but, you know, as a veteran myself and involved in the VFW, I'm able to go to all the ceremonies at the local schools.
No, we should never give up
And
Veterans Day.
so one of the things that we would have to do if we do have school on Veterans Day is that we have to make sure that we have curriculum that aligns with veterans so that the kids understand the meaning of Veterans Day. So it's a pretty big process that I would love to have. In the past, that's been not approved, not even looked at, so I didn't look at it.
I went to the one last Friday at Mahan, and it was really well
I
done.
can't hear you, Christina. What?
Mahan had a Veterans Day program last week that was very well done.
Stan had one today that I was the keynote speaker, so, but it's not, it's outside of Veterans
Yeah,
Day.
I'm not saying that school.
Other towns, right,
Yeah,
before they have it, and they had it where it's the day
The
of,
day
and they
of.
have a luncheon, and people come in.
Breakfast, they have veterans, they're
Veterans.
invited.
Would there be a meeting before our next meeting of the curriculum committee or teachers to kind of sort of put a feeler out for how everyone feels about actually having some sort of ceremony or special programs on that 11th?
We can, certainly. Because when you do, most of the schools do it now, they just do it before or after Veterans Day, so the change would be that they actually do it on Veterans Day.
Yeah. And it's already a chopped up week if you look the week before with parent conferences.
No school November.
Yeah, a lot of when I did, a lot of schools there the 11th, where I was before, they had given up the 11th, but they got the day before Thanksgiving off. The 26th, that half day was a complete day off. It was,
We can talk to NFA, like I said, we would really like to make sure that we're on the same page because of the busing. That's a big expense.
So presently, Veterans Day, NFA is off, and Norwich Tech is off.
Correct.
Right?
So we would have to, I could put feelers out and talk to both of them. I can talk
Please
to.
do.
I'm not, but, yeah, no, I mean, it's not the majority.
And then,
I think we're giving up too many holidays that meant so much to so many for so
and then I
many.
noticed on this calendar, it's,
I don't want my kids to stay home.
we're playing darts with the BOE meetings. You haven't actually scheduled a date for any of the BOE meetings.
I saw a couple in there.
But just said BOE meeting.
Yeah, but
They
there's
don't-
nothing.
It's not a specific date associated with any of them.
Yeah, I had to post it with the city.
No
so I'll
problem.
have them on.
Yeah, we can figure those out.
Yeah.
So I am looking into, is that what you're?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Veterans Day on that day right before Christmas.
I mean, if you've expressed an if you've expressed an interest in having that special ceremony or special recognition on the 11th. And NFA and Tech have already set their schedules as far as the
I think they're in the same process as we are for the first reading, so I will make sure I speak with
with Nate and,
Nate and John over at the school.
yeah.
These might be receptive to that too.
What's that?
League convention also, so.
Right. Marty then.
So that, yeah, in that day and a half,
Okay.
it's kind of,
Most school districts are proposing to go to school for the Monday and the half day on Tuesday.
Save money.
Which is why.
Heat's not on, the lights aren't on for 2 days in June.
Oh, they're proposing
Most
taking them
school
off.
districts that I know of, no, they're going to school
Right.
on the Monday and then doing a half day on Tuesday.
Just, that's what,
I haven't heard of one who is, it's been suggested, it's been thrown out there by teachers at different districts, but I haven't heard of one that's approved the calendar that they said we're taking those days off yet.
Which one? This is just a Monday.
Monday before Christmas.
This is just a week. So kids going back to.
no, Monday and a half day Tuesday.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
this
this
year.
current
Oh,
year.
this year.
Oh, this year.
This, and then when,
This current
I'm
year
done
is
on the
just
Friday.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
go on
Right.
Monday.
No, you don't. Just saying.
Thanks for the feedback though on the first reading, I appreciate it.
All right, and then, so depending on what happens there or, well, yeah, because that would affect our November meeting too. If the school's gonna be open on the 11th, then we would actually meet. Keep our Tuesday.
We did put this through, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying we did, make sure that the different unions get a look at this ahead of time as well.
I'm just thinking about like for, parents who want to use that time to do their own, education, like provide their own education to their kids or go to museum and such things. Like, is there an opportunities for parents to just, I know they can call and get like an excuse and all of that, but I'm just thinking about, like, there are families who use that day specifically in order to educate and who served, who may not necessarily just wanna come to the school's events that's happening that day too.
Yeah, with us being so close to the
sub-base. There's a lot of families that do. The sub-base provides amazing events for families of veterans to go, and I don't know, my kids won't be here. And then, like, we have things that we do for our, not only veterans now, but we have family members that have long passed gone. You know what I mean? That we go and we celebrate them on those days. So, and this is a big community.
There are options. I mean, it could be a half day and it's nothing but veteran ceremonies and veteran education for a half a day.
And most like the veterans
Stick to it though, really have something applying to veterans.
Yeah, the schools that I've
Not
seen, they.
just-
We have to,
Yeah.
that's the rules.
It's amazing. When I was in.
I have a question too about, has everyone gone to have a winter recess instead of the President's Day, or has that totally changed now
What's that?
for February?
They've been calling it winter recess for a while.
That's totally changed everywhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's a February week.
Old Lyme is the only one that has a February break. Lyme, Old Lyme.
Not a whole break, I mean, having Washington,
Celebrating President's
What do we
Day.
call it?
or
Winter
President's
recess
Day.
versus President's Day. Just the
Well,
name.
we used to have, when we were kids, it used to be a
No,
whole
I
week.
know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking, has that totally changed everywhere, where it's just referred to as winter recess?
I don't know the answer to that. I can look into that, but I do, just so your answer, Lyme, Old Lyme is the only school that actually has the complete week off.
Yeah, no, I know that's been going for a while. No, I'm asking about the designation of the days.
What are you suggesting?
No, I'm suggesting that we still acknowledge our presidents.
Just call it President's Day?
Yeah.
Well, they're off, the kids are also off on the 17th.
Right.
That's why they call it winter recess.
Yeah, but winter recess, it's this is American, like American.
Especially our older
tradition.
generation, I hear a lot of people who say, what
I
do you
really,
mean?
it's just,
you're
I don't know, it's
suggesting
just
to call
sad
it
that we don't.
President's
Day and George
President's Day for
Washington's
one of
birthday
them.
and.
We used to refer to one as that. I
Right.
can't remember.
Okay.
His birthday, it's actually Lincoln's birthday.
Yeah, but they did away with having Washington and
Washington's and
That's
Lincoln's,
what I'm
and they
saying.
made it
We're
just
working with
presidents. That first, yeah, that third Monday in February is President's Day. I agree.
Okay.
Super Bowl Monday?
Something.
I thought about it every year.
Every year, right?
All right.
State schools have that.
Okay, next.
All right, next is the first reads on several policies. I don't know if you want to cover those, Susan, or not.
Usually Kevin reads those.
Kevin, are you prepared to do those, or?
Yep, if I may, because these are all first read, and I'll consider it part of my policy committee report. So when we get to that, we could just skip over that section. But the policy committee, we met together on first discuss the 5 policies that are presented to the board tonight as first read. Essentially, these 5 policies are recent updates to our non-discrimination and harassment policy. These changes primarily focus on expanding and clarifying definitions to align with the 2024 final rule by the United States Department of Education. So we have broadened our understanding of sex discrimination to include areas like sex stereotyping, sex characteristics, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And in addition to these expanded definitions, we have also updated our grievances and appeal procedures. These adjustments ensure comprehensive, clear, and inclusive protections across all of our policies, supporting a safe and inclusive environment within the school community. So that's what these 5 policies are overall.
some of these are covered under Title IX. The federal, with the change in the presidency, some of these protections offered under Title IX may be rolled back. However, we're also covered under Connecticut General Statutes and the Connecticut State Constitution. So, and if you look at the legal point, they do mention the general statutes. So we would have to follow whatever the local jurisdiction is. So being that we have particular statutes passed by our Connecticut legislature, we would have to be in line with that. In addition, whatever happens at the Title IX level.
I had a question in regards to the reporting to the district officials. I think this sentence is can't like this is a new sentence. I think just 1050. I'm looking at the non-discrimination. Yeah, but it's also included in the previous two. So if you open it up, it's just a sentence around the district will investigate both formal and informal complaints of discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. Just how is that being done currently? Is there an administrative process?
Yes, we do. We have a document, an in-house document that we go to, but it doesn't mean that we always have to follow it. There's some, there could be some extenuating circumstances where we would say that we wouldn't want this person doing it, but we do have an in-house document that provides us with guidance.
Okay, that's just helpful because I was like, oh, what prompted this? Is this as a result of some of the things that's been happening in the past couple of months that we need to address? But glad that we do. Thank you.
And if you notice under paragraph E, they define veteran, they've included Space Force in there too now as a branch of the service. So there are minor changes in this. I mean, of course, we can pass this and then whatever happens at the federal level, if we're required to change it back, but we'd have to follow whatever the law is, so.
Now, technically, we have to follow it because we accept federal funding? Is that why?
Title IX, yes. The protections of Title IX.
Bless you.
But even if that Title IX goes away, those rules to follow it, we're still covered under Connecticut state law and the Connecticut Constitution as a separate source of those protections. So I would say if we pass it, most likely we wouldn't have to change it back because there's a separate line of law at the state level that would cover us. Unless, we get a ruling from our council, and I'm sure they would check into it, whichever way we have to follow it, so.
Good.
So again, these are for first reads, so if you have any questions now would be the time to sort of raise it.
And these will be brought for discussion at the next policy committee meeting?
No.
No, I know we were.
They'll be up for action as a
Yeah, if
second
we have
read.
questions, okay.
Right. Unless, if you have questions, I would forward them to me, so that we can get them, or Kevin as chair of the policy committee.
That's what I meant in terms of
Right.
process.
now's the time to have questions and discussion.
Correct.
Because we have to vote next month, right?
Right, so we should, when we get all these first
Yes.
read things, to read them over. That's the whole purpose of the first read, to read it, to raise questions, so that any changes that can be made are made before we have to approve for a second read.
Gotcha. Yes.
That is correct.
Right, that's the way it should work.
Okay.
And as I say, most of these changes are fairly minor, with the addition of Space Force and the little line about sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression. So, all right, are we set to move on, or are you still going through the first read here? Okay, committee reports. We haven't started the budget process yet. Well, Bob probably has.
Oh, we have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. The board hasn't been involved in that yet. And the ad hoc won't meet until after we approve our budget. So. No. What was your question?
Do you have an estimated time for when the first budget committee meeting will be held?
You mean first, the ad hoc meetings?
Not
No,
ad hoc, because
budget.
there's an ad-
Usually
first-
Bob presents.
Oh, I
it.
see, for those, so we did that, it's probably be the same time frame. I believe we started.
I don't know if he did in December or January.
Yeah, I was around.
Well, it'll be the same exact timeline. What we did last year, right? I'll just look it up real quick.
I think he parses it into pieces, tuition,
Pieces.
3 or 4 pieces, he does it.
We'll do it last year.
Period.
A 3-year budget, multi-year
If it was
budget?
possible.
It's always possible.
Yeah, but with education costs changing.
And most of those are via Zoom special meetings.
I'll let you know as soon as as soon as Bob gets back, we'll come up with
First.
those.
All right, negotiation report, all right, we're still waiting for the administrators to approve their, the contract before we can vote on it. And then we're in negotiations with the nurses right now. We'll be meeting with them tomorrow.
I'm missing those meetings.
Yeah, tomorrow at, what time is it? 4:30 in this room.
If I can just go back to the last question, Colleen, so we did it December 7th last year, so that'll be, we'll have the same time. We'll start December 7th, around that.
Yeah, so we have a couple of sessions scheduled with the nurses. The next one, we've already had, what, 1 or 2? One, just the one with them. So they've given us their first proposals, and we've come back with ours. So as I said, tomorrow at 4:30 here, anyone who wants to hop in. Next is school building.
Skip that.
We talked a lot about
We
that.
talked a lot about that, so we kind of caught you all up on that.
Yeah, the only thing was that, we did the voting members reviewed, there was submittals, last month, and we chose a project manager for the UNCAS, who is, Mike Fans' company, so that there would be consistency. Because technically, you can have a different project manager for every segment, and it can get crazy, CSG, which is Mike Fienz's company, to continue being project manager on his project.
Okay, and then Kevin covered policy, right?
Yep, that's the policy for tonight.
Aye.
All righty. And board reports, IDCS.
All right, I wasn't at the meeting, I was not able to make it this month, but just as a parent, I can report some things that have been happening. On December 4th, Keith Davis, an NFL football player and a college football player, is coming to speak to the students at IDCS. This past month, they had a site visit and were approved by UCFS to open a school-based health center, and that's opening next week, I believe. The fresh fruit and vegetable program began last month, so the kids now have access to as much fresh fruit and vegetables as they want to eat for free. There's some work that's been done to the parking lot that's been repaired, the cracks, and it's been coated and lined and stuff. And Big Brothers and Big Sisters is working with the school. They have 3 grandparents that are working with that program with some different classes and specific students. And then finally, just before the Thanksgiving break is the Bread Feast and Caring and Sharing Day, which is open for folks in the community to go to. It's a day of just volunteering, doing things for others in the community, and hanging out and eating together. Should I do learn right now as well?
Yes.
Did get to learn. Fine.
Okay, wonderful.
So at the Learn meeting, the start of the meeting was viewing a Bill of Rights for Multilingual Learners presentation. I can share that with you if it's something you want to see. I have that on my computer. There was a recent resignation of the Director of Development at Learn. Before they hire someone else, they want to do a vetting of the philosophy of that position before they put someone else in there, so it's vacant for now. The RESC Alliance met with the Office of Policy Management Secretary, Jeff Beckham, to discuss magnet funding and support of the teacher residency program. Through Learn, there's been about 130 teachers of color who have been hired and placed to date. They're asking for $1.3 million in funding right now, and that is to be determined. The Regional Remote Learning Program that I spoke a little bit about last month, where you have 5 different districts that are getting together to offer unique classes at the high school level after school, may start very soon. I know that there are some hang-ups between the different districts and reaching an agreement with all these different unions together, but that's hoping that we get it started very soon. And lastly, Learn is applying for a license for an infant and toddler program at the Friendship School, and they're hoping to get that started after in January after Christmas break.
I actually got to see the space for that when I visited my daughter's friend who just got a new position with Learn.
Cool.
And it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
The little mini toilets.
I've only seen pictures of this one.
You forget those days?
Pardon?
You forgot those days.
Yeah, I have. Even though Bishop still looks like that. I still couldn't believe that when Amber gave me that tour. I was like, that hasn't changed. But yes, Learn is, I mean, they're growing. I mean, really. And that school, the Friendship School, is beautiful. Even though they're building a new facility, but people were all so welcoming. I really enjoyed seeing it, thinking of our schools built, speaking of for our new schools.
Okay, NFA.
Make a quick little announcement, something that I seen on Parent Square today for Moriarty. They're having a Friendsgiving on November 20th at 5:30. So I know that no one's still here, but I'm sure they'll watch. And if you click on it, you can sign up and you can bring a dish. And I think it'd be great for all our family and friends to have our little home little Thanksgiving.
When was that again, Heather?
It is November 20th at Moriarty at 5:30. And I'm excited. I got excited for it this morning when I seen it. So
Have fun, I'm jealous.
At 5:30.
you could be my friend and
No, I have to work.
So you bringing the green beans or the marshmallows?
I'm probably bringing meat.
Okay.
Those vegetables for someone else.
November 20th at 5:30.
Yes.
And you sign up
On Parent Square.
On Parent. I still haven't figured that out.
But if you want, you know, we could always work out bringing a dish together or 2 dishes and you can sign up for it. But I thought that was really, really cool. I love Thanksgiving, especially just the friends. You know, like I don't really care about
The
roast.
thing that he mentioned at charter school, it's awesome.
It's a cool day.
Everybody would bring like banana breads and it would, all the kids assembled.
This year Tristan decided he doesn't want a traditional Thanksgiving with a turkey. He wants all his favorite meals made. So we're having like tacos and everything. I don't know. It's gonna be
We have
crazy.
prime rib, but my kids don't.
All right, I went to the NFA board meeting and, their main concern, they're a little under budget. They're over budget a little bit. But their whole thing is dependent on, enrollment. They're trying to market themselves, more. They're bringing in, their hockey program is getting stronger. They mentioned, how pleased they were with the number of, Norwich students attending NFA. That's helping their bottom line a lot.
Did you say they're over budget or under budget?
They're over budget. I'm sorry,
He first said under, then he
Yes.
changed it over.
they're over budget. It's not, I think it's by 100,000 or something, so it's a burden.
No sympathy.
But,
Maybe $100 donation, my husband may know help.
yeah, hopefully.
Different.
So that's, where they stand. They're hopeful that they'll meet their numbers and get the proper amount of students. And in the foundation, in the public school foundation, the big thing is a week from Friday on the 22nd is the Follies show, which will be here at the auditorium. Oh, shoot, I forgot to bring tickets. I have tickets for everybody. That's what I forgot.
That's all right, 'cause I don't have any money to pay for them.
Yeah.
We can pay at the door too, though, right?
Well, I think I actually had tickets for all of you.
Right, that's what I think I did last year.
So,
You're not
yeah,
singing now,
that
right?
starts at 6:30, but at 6 o'clock, the middle school band will be here in the lobby playing. So if you want to come a little earlier before the show.
I'm sorry, Mark, what night was that again?
The 22nd,
Thank you.
which is Friday. Usually they have it the same night as the CAVE convention. This year we had that extra week because Thanksgiving is so late this year. And then there's a couple things I just want to talk to Susan about after that. All right, and John.
Otis, I am no longer on the Otis board, so I have no report. If anyone's interested in being a board member for the Otis Library, let me.
Not raising my hand. I know that this time last year, they had like an event.
Otis, yes.
Are they planning to have that? I read the first chapter of the book.
Otis,
Yeah.
Festival?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otis.
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 Yeah.
So there is celebrity parking.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
When is that?
It's November 23rd, Saturday.
And what is this event?
It's
Otis, it's the craft show downtown,
Oh, the
snack
craft show.
shops and
And they do the dance.
dance, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, we missed
So if you're interested, let me know. Okay.
And I know back in October, one of our former Norwich residents who's a writer, John Andriott, he gave a Zoom presentation on the AIDS epidemic, and because he had reissued a book that he had written years ago. And that was also offered as a presentation to the University of Chicago. So we have, published authors here from the city. All right, then just read over the enrollment report, the budget report, personnel. And anyone have anything else they want to add?
I do.
Go ahead, John.
I'd like to, I don't want to prolong the meeting any longer than this, but I'd like to talk about the busing situation.
All right.
I have a couple of thoughts, and I'm sure we all do too. We all are safety and well student-centered and student-minded, so we get all that. We're also fiscally responsible to the budget, so we get that. That's why I asked that question about the $2,000 a day. So it's a double-edged sword. But I think we need to do two things. I think we need to have the policy committee review it. We have a temporary transportation committee from last year, which is Greg and Heather, by the way. Just saying. I'm not, but my thought is we probably need to make that committee a permanent committee. We probably need to expand that committee to maybe have a parent, maybe have someone from law enforcement, and really look at two things. How we're doing it, but there's a bigger picture on transportation all over the place. It's a $9 million line item. And we need to really, and I'm not trying to, not promoting micromanaging what everyone's supposed to be doing, but I'm saying there are high school buses that kids don't take, and we pay for it. So I think there's a big picture that has to be looked at, but I think the immediate picture is what are we gonna do when December, January, February, March rolls around? And I'm only gonna say that because when I was down the hill at that other place I used to work at, every year I used to make the call up the hill, because kids were walking back then, about can we do something for a couple of months while it's really cold? So that's gonna come. And we heard from some more folks today. And I just think we need to talk about that. And I don't know when the time is or how it is. I'm not trying to throw it on the policy committee, but I really think we need to have a conversation. And now's not the time at 8:30 at night, I get that. I don't know when it is or how it is, but to have Enoch sit up there and say, oh, you just don't care, I don't want to hear that.
I think it's worthy of a meeting. It's worthy of a special meeting.
I agree.
I'm worried about the liability. My whole thing was though, I was gonna talk to her about this after. I thought Maria was addressing the issues that had already come up.
She is.
Right.
And there aren't many more that are coming up. I get that.
That's not true.
Well-
I can't even go to Dunkin' Donuts. I got a special needs student being constantly rerouted every day. They didn't even know where he was today.
But this thought isn't to discredit Maria, what she's doing, or how she's doing it at all. Not at all. I'm saying that we are responsible.
Oh, I know, but that's why we hired another person
Yeah.
and paid her a good sum of money.
And she's doing the job.
Well, she has two jobs. She also is on our,
And plus, for students
The
supposed to
safety
have somebody.
coordinator.
she's also on the, she gets paid, some of her salary gets paid out of our food grant, because she works with the food team.
Out of our what, I'm sorry?
Food grant.
So,
And she also does the safety thing. I mean, I had to approve last month, there was a huge, what is that, like a 400-page document, the safety plan, which.
So she might need some help, so what you're recommending is that I'm
and
just add some
I'm just
capacity.
saying that I'm not saying yay or nay on this. I'm just saying we need to talk about this. Because we need to look at, we know the ramifications. If $180,000 we got to find. Not us.
A lot of it.
So a lot, but I'm just saying that we need to talk
Could
about
add
it.
up to more than
Yeah.
$180,000, we're saving $2,000 a day at this point.
That's what I was just gonna say, a lot of it's just gonna come back to the budget,
But maybe it's not the answer of all or nothing. Maybe there's an
No, I
intermediate
know.
step. Maybe we get data and we look at data on a mile and a half mile and a mile and a half. What is it? how many we're talking about, how many buses, and look at it.
I was ready for this, so I already started this process.
I figured that, because I looked over when they were talking and definitely put it on your post-it, I think.
Well, we may need to look at something like immediate with the winter coming up, and then figure out where we're going with that. But we can't just not, we can't not just talk about it all.
So you did talk about having a committee last year.
We did. And we actually set up the template committee, neither one of them knew they were on it.
No, I knew I was on it, but
I
I
just
thought
said
we
it
were
would-
waiting, I thought I was
Yeah.
waiting.
No, that's fine.
to-
No, that's his fault.
for
He's
one
not-
thing
One word I've done a lot
I said I
tonight
wanted
when
to be
we were
on it, I don't
speaking
know
is
how to run it.
equity.
Absolutely.
And that area where that's also gonna come up for us. There's a lot of students there that it's not equitable, say, to the same kids in another area.
Correct. In the old days, and I'll be careful how I say this,
Yeah, I was trying to word it.
in the old days, we had a lot of mixed neighborhoods around a mile and a mile and a half. I'm not sure we have a lot of mixed neighborhoods around, and I'm afraid it affects the population that gets affected the most by everything. And that's the equity issue.
I would make sure you read Maria's
Yes.
report as well.
Yep.
They're helpful, but at the same time, I don't think it's
Well, we-
addressing the cost of
No,
living
it's all right.
issue.
I don't want to prolong it, but where we go with this, give it to me.
Right, yeah.
I think we do need to.
All right, so, yeah, I would say, you know, it may take one, it may take several meetings where we meet and,
But it's getting
When you get
cold
started
and
in
dark.
May.
I think we gotta make something immediate, like pretty quickly, not 2 and 3 meetings when it's getting dark and it's cold and icy and walking from, say, Golden Street or Second Street all the way up to NFA.
yeah,
You
they
know.
gotta go over the big hill to
Yeah,
get
and
it
Well,
down.
wasn't that one of the areas that was addressed last month? And I think Maria was making a correction with that, Golden Street. I thought that was one of the areas that a parent.
Whenever a parent calls, we
Right.
make sure that
Yep.
we take a look at every
Yeah,
other police
'cause I think
involved,
that
they go
was
look
one
at
that
it, so.
was,
She's following all the policies and
Yeah,
she's making
I'm
sure
sure
that
she
per
is.
policy that she writes each person down, their name when they call, so we have
Like-
a log.
Right, because I'm wondering if all these people have reported there is.
She has had several conversations with Enoch.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, sorry to throw bombs and then.
It's not a
No,
problem.
that's not,
It's
Eight
bring it up
thirty,
earlier.
So what has to happen, the policy committee has to write up a proposal to create a committee, or?
The policy committee should review it.
Review
In my
policy
opinion,
or
there should be a broader committee that would look at that also and other issues and come to some consensus of what we want to do and bring it here.
I also heard from Christina though, that there is a sense of urgency to this issue, so
Oh,
we
there is,
cannot.
because it's December, we're coming up next month, that's my point.
And
So
like
if
Susan
we have
said,
to
she's
do
already
something
addressing the issue.
for a couple of months to make it easier for kids, if we have to do it, and then figure out the long plan, we do that, that's all.
So we need a short and a long.
We need a short,
Yeah.
something
Sure.
where
Makes sense.
I mean, I can see the concern in the morning, it's dark.
At night, yeah.
At night,
Then if they
however,
do
at
it
night, they
on
have the late buses on certain days of the week, I think 3 days a week.
3 days a week.
But it takes forever, you know, depending on where you live, you know, for them to get
Yeah,
dropped
but
off.
you're
So
on,
some of the kids
you're on
probably say,
safe
"I'm not waiting
transportation
anymore."
after, you know,
Oh, no, I know, but I'm
in the
just saying,
dark.
some of
They
the
have a-
kids probably don't want to wait for
they're
them.
provided,
But-
yeah.
but
they're
it's
provided.
Exactly, we can say at least they're provided.
Provided.
Like the delayed, whoever the nurse stays.
And if we need to do some sort of a special bus in the morning for pickups,
What was
maybe
the
that's
one
what
that
we
was,
have to do.
that they were doing for going up the hill? They had a
Well,
bus.
there's a shuttle,
It's a shuttle.
It's a
Right.
shuttle bus
But I
and then it
forgot
goes
where
up
was
to,
located. Where were
Tech.
they having the shuttle? If,
from you're talking about after school?
no, not, no.
in the
Tech.
morning, it's like parked in front of Maine or on the road in front of Maine, and
I
then they
thought it
go
was
up
somewhere
the
else.
hill.
I didn't think it was at NFA.
No, it's at NFA. But then there's like another bus that goes out to Griswold, or we used to have like a common bus that would bring
Yeah, that's
to
what
our
I'm
different
thinking.
designated high schools, but then
Yeah.
we cut back the designated high
Right.
schools.
I don't know, which Tech has a bus that brings the kids down to NFA and they get buses there.
But that's something the transportation committee would have to look into too, or, talk with Maria as far as, where those outlying buses go. I mean, we still have kids at Bacon, we still have kids going to Waterford. You know, all of those, we're into that at least for another 2 years. And then, you know, after that, our responsibility ends when those kids graduate.
When is Griswold's contract up? When are they, I was wondering why they were presenting tonight, or,
They're just showing,
that's what I
because
thought.
they're a designated
Because
high
I
school,
couldn't
so.
remember what agreement we had, because there's still one that we provide for.
Well, Griswold is one in NFA,
And
those
NFA,
are the
that's
two.
what I mean, so I was just wondering.
But they're probably planning for open houses. I know NFA is
Yeah.
doing an open house.
All right, I wanted to make sure I wasn't
They're
missing.
doing one in November and they're
NFA is
doing
coming to
another
present too.
in December.
Maybe you wanna go back to high school.
We didn't want them to present on the same day like we did last time.
Yeah, I
Next
remember.
is loud, that sounds.
Yeah, it's cool.
And a little awkward.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm like, I wanna go back.
Let's start freshman year.
Sorry, I think
Yeah, let's make it a
Griswold,
motion.
we haven't completed transportation. What's the next step we're going to take? I heard it's gonna go back to the policy committee and.
Well, the next step is to schedule, I'll send a notice out, trying to find what's the best time to set up a Zoom meeting. I mean, it can't be executive session because it doesn't fall under any of the exceptions, so it'll have to be, you know, a public meeting. We're not gonna have public comment unless you all want it. I know I think we know what the issues are in the community.
I would vote to have a public meeting, only, and I'll tell you why, only because we're addressing a concern that people have spoken at
Multiple times about.
3 meetings.
You mean an in-person meeting? As opposed to a
It could be
Zoom?
Zoom, it could be Zoom, as
But
long
you
as
may
it's
take
public.
questions from the public, don't you?
We'll set up, but we have people that have been making comments. I don't wanna go
No,
on.
I never have liked that we can't respond, so.
Well, that's public comment.
I know, no, I know, no, I mean, us respond to public comment, and we discussed doing that and having us, remember, it was brought up that maybe we could respond at the next
At the
meeting.
next meeting.
That's,
I would suggest somehow we put together that transportation, whatever we call it, committee.
Right.
Let that committee meet to plan a public meeting and to plan what gives stuff to the policy committee. I mean, I don't wanna have a public meeting without having guardrails of what we're doing. Not that stupid, but that's what that
no,
committee will
have them have it.
Yeah, have like a subcommittee meeting, you know, where they meet with the public, probably with Maria and
Yeah, to have everybody
and
involved.
maybe a first student rep too, so that everybody is on the same
Their
page.
coordinator,
I
because they
just
have a
Right.
coordinator.
I think we gotta make sure that we have a good timeline for this.
Yes.
This meeting and that
Right.
meeting and get this group
Put it
together
on
and
Parent
that.
Square.
I think this needs to be,
Right.
I know she's already starting something and I
Oh,
agree
yeah,
that.
she's.
And I know they've been investigating each one and we talked about that before, but I do think we need to.
Short-term, long-term. Let's address short-term
Short
first.
term, immediate.
So Susan,
Short-term
Marie
immediate.
Crow's calling me right now.
Better you than us. All right.
Okay.
so Susan, when are you gonna be out? Or are you gone already?
I'm here, here I am. Not going anywhere.
Cause weren't you going down south?
I am here.
She's here.
Here I
right
am.
now. Can we?
Not going anywhere.
What do we have left, Chairman?
Just adjournment.